Hi, I'm Katja Riga and I'm here with Karen Tan.
Hello.
Karen is one of the growing number of female CROs and I'm very happy to have a discussion with her on women at risk. Karen, yes, you are one of the growing number of female CROs, but looking at the conference and looking at the companies, you're still very much a minority. Is there anything which you think can be done to grow that number, and can you elaborate on some of the reasons why?
Well, first of all, I'll start with the second question, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have more women in risk management. The reason why I say that is because the whole core of the risk discipline is our ability to look end to end and to consider things that others may have missed. And just if you have only a very male-dominated environment or a very sales-oriented environment with nobody from other functions like finance and not a real cross-functional team, what happens is we tend to have very siloed views of things and we tend to miss things. So if our observation is that there are a lot more men here than there are women, then we are missing a trick. So we need to include a really diverse crowd of backgrounds, disciplines, gender, to enable us to do the risk job properly, in my view. So that's why I think it's important to have more women. It's interesting. How can we increase the numbers? Is not entirely so clear to me. Now, you've done a lot of behavioral research. What is your analysis? Why do you think there are so few women here?
It is a good question, and I don't have all the answers. One of the answers is we do need more role models, so I'm very pleased to see more female CROs.
Right.
And the reason why we need role models is not just to encourage young women and tell them it's possible, but it's actually to show the men and the male leadership teams what a great job a woman can do on their boards. And I've had interviews with men who for the first time interacted with a woman leader as their peer, and it was a wake-up call for them. So that is definitely helpful.
Okay, good.
Another thing is probably, and I elaborated on it before, is a bias we still face. And just to be clear, men and women are equally biased. And unfortunately, women are equally biased sometimes against their own gender. The challenge with bias is it's unconscious. So one of the things we absolutely need to do is work on raising the awareness and working out a little bit of how we can counter our instinctive, our unconscious reaction, and then bring it out in the open and make a more rational and better choice.
Great.
Yeah. But Karen, what can women do now? And you're in a company where there's a growing number of women. What can they do to support each other within a company and maybe across companies, across industries?
I think there are lots of things we can do. I think mentorship is definitely up there. I mentor a lot of colleagues in the company, different ages and different departments, and a lot of them happen to be women, and different things come up, like how do you juggle family with career? How do we take care of our young children, our aging parents, and at the same time have a meaningful and strong career? I think that's some of those questions that do come up. But I find it quite interesting, this whole assertiveness discussion. So I quite a few times I've had questions about how do you actually, as a CRO, come across as being assertive, that you can bring a point across and be respected, but on the other hand, not be called, yeah, I was trying to avoid that word. So that is actually key in the minds of a lot of people, and I think in my view, the critical answer to that is the how we challenge, how we bring the points across, and how do we bring it to our colleagues. And if we have our evidence, our analysis, our thought process, and we engage our colleagues in a discussion of what ifs, have you considered certain things, and what can we do about it? Do you agree it's a risk? Then it doesn't necessarily have to come across as terribly assertive or terribly challenging, but it nonetheless achieves its purpose. And being able to do that in a way that women, or anybody else for that matter, do not feel afraid is quite important.
You actually pointed out a very important bias as well, and somebody called it the double whammy for women. Now, if we are gentle and caring, we are not seen as leadership types. If we are more assertive, sometimes we are not liked, which makes us less effective as leaders. One of the advantages of talking about these kind of things is that indeed the social norms are changing, so that's good, but it's still very deep down in us. So I very much like your advice of how to challenge. But one thing I heard from there as well, and for men and women, it does come back to relationship building, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about just a meeting. If you create good relationships with your peers, with the management, they're so much more likely to listen to you and to truly consider your opinion. So from a women in risk and risk management perspective, what can we do more of, men and women for that matter, to build these relationships?
It's really simple. I think people or our colleagues need to understand that we are not out to get them. I think we have a common goal at the end of the day, and the way I pitch it to my colleagues is I want to help you grow safely. So we want to grow, but it's just growing in a safe way that doesn't come back to bite us years to come. So as long as we are clear that we have some aligned common goals, and the way to it could come with disagreements, different views, different perspectives, I think we can all respect each other's positions, sometimes agree to disagree, and then take on the decisions that our respective roles demand of us.
So picking out from that very good advice, there are very clear steps which we can take when, for example, we are dealing in a high stakes discussion. One is reminding people of the common goal. The other one is to truly listen to their perspective, because that helps us fine.
Yeah.
And the third one is to learn how to disagree with each other without losing respect.
And without damaging the relationship. That
Very
is
true.
critical. And then coming back to your high stakes conversations, I think coming back to how women can support other women, I think I read in an article somewhere, I think it was Financial Times, that one tool we can use, and use maybe slightly more consciously, is to build on other women's comments and to attribute. If we are making a comment that is based on an observation by somebody else, and attribute it back to that individual. Now, I think we should be doing that anyways, men and women. Somebody has told me, or at least in the article I've read, that very often when it's raised first by a woman, it's not necessarily attributed back, and sometimes when it's then raised by a man, it's heard and brought up, which is really interesting. Now you're the psychologist. How does that work? Why does it work like that?
Actually, I'm not a psychologist, but I experienced exactly what you mentioned very much myself. And it was an interesting situation where I raised an idea, and my very nice colleague, and I wasn't heard, my very nice colleague picked it up again because he thought it's a good idea. Unfortunately, in that moment, he didn't attribute it back to me, but it was picked up straight away. And because he realized afterward that he was credited with the idea, he actually did the right thing and said, but by the way, that was Katja's proposal. So to go back, what men and women can do, and I love your advice, is build on each other's ideas, very consciously build on the comments and ideas of women, and be very specific about saying, thank you, Karen, that was an excellent point, let's do that and let's foster this, or seek this solution together.
Sure, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.